Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today, dude, we have Spider-Man No Way Home. This is the third of the Tom Holland films. It's 2 hours and 29 minutes long. It's from 2021. I can't believe it's 5 years old already. Of course, they're bringing this out on to Disney Plus now. All the existing Toby, Andrew, Tom Spider-Man films are now on Disney Plus at the same time for the first time ever, at least to date. They're doing this because, of course, Brand New Day is coming in the next few months in July. So yeah, it's good to get caught up and do a little marathon on Disney Plus. Yeah, get them watch them all. It's not always an easy watch, but hey, you know what? Everybody's got their favorite Spider-Man and their favorite Spider-Man film, and why not put them all together in one film? Yeah, we're not spoiling anything in this. Speaking of which, I'm going to be spoiling a lot of things. If you've somehow not seen this film in the last 5 years, I can understand if you haven't seen like The Black Hole or the Black Cauldron or like any number of 1930s era Mickey Mouse shorts. I understand if you haven't seen those, but this is pretty ubiquitous. And odds are, if you weren't interested in seeing it then, I don't think you're really worried about getting spoiled for it now. But be aware, if you don't know what's going on, if you don't understand the whole Spider-Man thing, how they're all connected, and also the multiverse when it comes to Marvel. Well, this one goes hard on the multiverse. Yeah, I'm just going to ruin a bunch of stuff for you. So I would say watch these films and then come back and listen to me blather about all this crap. So the crap I love. There we go. So, what we get here is a direct, like literally seconds after the last film ended. It actually, when it ended in the after credit sequence, the mid credit sequence actually was the second one, Far From Home. Big things went down. And Spider-Man's identity was revealed as Peter Parker, thanks to J. Jonah Jameson. Yes, the intrepid CEO of the Daily Bugle, the editor-in-chief, I should say. Yeah, editor-in-chief, publisher of Daily Bugle, the infamous newspaper that Peter Parker had worked at in the original Tobey Maguire ones. And they brought J. Jonah Jameson, J.K. Simmons back to portray him as, once again, he's in all the universes apparently, or at least two of them, and he's got a little bit of a hint from Mysterio, who found out Peter's identity, and man, Jake Gyllenhaal played Mysterio, and honestly, I'd never believed that they could have made Mysterio not a one-note character. He was actually really good in that, not just the actor, but also just the character as it was portrayed. Great. But we're gonna get into this film. Are there bad guys in this one? Absolutely there are, but there's also 3 times the amount of Spider-Mans. Spider-Mans? Either way. We get all 3 of the Spider-Man together for the first time. And why? It just seems like crazy. Like, when it comes to, people being recast as iconic characters, and make no mistake, these 3 men will go down in history as Spider-Man. No matter what else they do, they can win all the Oscars in the world and cure cancer. They're also gonna, their obituary is gonna be cured cancer, won 17 Oscars, and was Spider-Man for a time. And of course, actors age out, and or there's a new era. They try to reboot it. Sony just reboots a Spider-Man every few years, it seems. And one day, there's not going to be a Tom Holland Spider-Man. He's going to move on to other things, and there's going to be an even more newer Spider-Man. And I have a feeling that'll be Miles Morales. But that's a whole different story. So yeah, when Tom is ready to retire and hand over the webs, well, guess what? I bet you we're going to get Miles as our main Spider-Man, at least for a while, until somebody else takes his role. You'd never know. There could be multiple Spider-Men's happening, and Spider-Women, Spider-Girls, Spider-Boys, Spider all sorts of stuff, even Madam Web. Maybe not. Happening everywhere. So, it's just the idea, with considering that the Marvel Universe is leaning hard into the whole multiverse thing, leading to Secret Wars, which is at least in the comics, is a collection of realities. It's all smashed together, variations of well-known characters in different eras of their lives, different realities, different whether it's an apocalypse, the Old West, the 1870s, whatever it is. It's there's a thousand, a billion, a quadrillion different realities that will eventually smash together, more than likely, in Secret Wars, which is already starting in pre-production right now. They are in post-production on Doomsday, which comes out later this year. Yeah, Christmas-ish. And yeah, and reshoots, are doing reshoots and stuff like that. But here we get a really big taste of what it means when you're dealing with a multiverse. Yes, we had that in Loki. Loki was a big deal because he had Loki falling in love with himself, a female version of himself. We just had a lot of different versions. Of course, following right after this is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, that also has a number of realities smashing together. Things are falling apart. Things are coming together when it comes to the multiverse and Marvel. Will it all end with Secret Wars? Who knows? We'll see. But this is a very good example of using the multiverse in a fun way. Spider-Man is a beloved character, more so than many others when it comes to the Marvel universe or any comic universe. He's the Everman. He's the guy we could be behind the mask. And it's kind of fun as a comic book fan to see Doctor Strange having a big part in this film, even though he's gone for like a good hour and a half. It seems like it. He's in it in the beginning and he's in it at the end, but he's taken off the board for a little bit, thanks to Peter. This continues to strike at the core of who Spider-Man is. It's also one of the fun things, like I said, for comic book fans, is you get to have Spider-Man versus Doctor Strange, two Stan Lee and Steve Ditko characters just going at it. It's just a little piece of history. We don't normally would expect Spider-Man to fight against Doctor Strange, but we get that. We get that in some crazy mind-bending reality stuff like we saw in the original Doctor Strange film, in the Mirrorverse. We get Benedict Cumberbatch, of course, comes back as Doctor Strange, and it's so we don't even get the other Spider-Man in the film until like almost the beginning of the third act, because you know how we always wondered why there was no Uncle Ben in this? Who's going to teach Peter power and responsibility? With great power comes great responsibility. Well, he got that in Aunt May. Aunt May has been his example of doing what's right when you have the power to do so. Sometimes even when you don't have the power, but doing what's right in the face of evil. And we lose her in this, and it pushes Tom Holland Peter, to the edge. It's good that suddenly, at just the right moment, the spell that was cast that brought villains from the previous films that Tom's Peter has never met, it sounds perverse when I say that. I'm sorry. When we see Dr. Octopus, we see Green Goblin, we see Sandman, we see Electro, and that's 4, and why can't I say the 5th one? Green Goblin, Sandman, Electro. There's a 5th one. Why can't I? My brain is the lizard. We almost get a Sinister Six. Maybe you can count Jonah as a 6th. He has no powers except the press and just being super obnoxious. But we'll say we had a Sinister Six in the films at this moment. So why not bring in 2 more Spider-Man to make it 3? And this is like a fantasy thing. No, I mean, not since the Avengers. The idea, we have to realize that back in 2012, after having a Captain America movie, a Iron Man movie, and a Thor movie, 3 very different characters brought together in one screen. Of course, they have to fight it out first before they become buddies, and then add in the Hulk and Black Widow and Hawkeye, and it just the idea of putting those characters together on the screen and having them battle Loki, as it did in the comics, he was a very versed Avengers villain. That kind of brought them together. Uh, it's kind of it shouldn't have worked. It shouldn't have worked. Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor at the core of it, the big three, they don't cross over in how they're villains. They don't cross over in the level of power they have. It's really different worlds, and it worked. And that's, I mean, sure, everything took off with the first Iron Man film, but the Avengers film just said, okay, this is a cohesive universe that we could spin off everybody. Everybody gets a film or a series on a streaming service that doesn't exist yet called Disney Plus. All this stuff became possible, and now we get the idea that there's Andrew Garfield only got 2 Spider-Man films, and they never did a fourth Tobey Maguire one, even though they had talked about it so long, and Sam Raimi wanted to do it, but didn't want to do this, and the studio was getting too involved, and all these other excuses. Things get changed over because of studio decisions. It's not because, I can do this all day. I can do this character forever. And Tobey Maguire doesn't want to do Spider-Man for the rest of his life. Andrew Garfield doesn't want to do Spider-Man for the rest of his life. He probably wanted to do at least one more Spider-Man, but those didn't do as well as they could have. But the funny thing is that we get to see these characters years later and how being Spider-Man has affected them in this film. Even in just a small way, we get to see kind of not an epilogue, but a continuation of their story, and some storylines coming to a conclusion. Not really, but a conclusion. I mean, after everything, Tobey Maguire, Peter, he wanted to have a romance and have a life and everything else, and all the craziness that was happening with his best friend dying in his arms, and then the Venom stuff that was going on. It made him a jerk, more so. We find that he settled down with MJ and lives a life. Andrew Garfield lost Gwen Stacy, as you do when she falls in a comic book, and they had to recreate that. There was no way Gwen Stacy was ever going to survive that, and making that your Empire Strikes Back of a trilogy that was never going to happen, he never got to get that resolution in a third film for Andrew. And for Peter, setting it up, his Empire Strikes Back was the mid-credit sequence in Far From Home, and getting his identity revealed, which also happened in the comics, but he chose that at one point during a series called Civil War, not the movie, a series where everybody had to be registered, be a hero, and Iron Man convinced him to reveal who he was, and that changed his life forever, which eventually led to a whole mess of problems for a very outed superhero Peter, not even beyond the Civil War, but also it led to Brand New Day. And that's the name of the next Spider-Man film. But what do we get out of this? I mean, honestly, this feels like a lot of fan service, but it works. It's fun. And it's fun just seeing the 3 men who have iconically played Spider-Man in the modern day. We're not getting the 70s Spider-Man. No, we're not getting the Japanese Spider-Man. We're not getting all the others. That's what the Miles Morales animated series is doing so well. There's so many different variations. Spider-Ham and Spider-Noir, which we're getting on Amazon, I think, in a few months, in May. There's no shortage of spider stories. But yeah, it's... Tom Holland is young. Him and Zendaya they're married now. They could keep doing spider stuff for a long time. And here's hoping they do, but eventually that day will come. But they won't. And we'll have to look at a new Spider-Man. So, but yeah, this is... It could have been a humongous mess. And again, we only get this for the last third of the film. It's them coming to terms with who each other was, comforting Peter in his time of loss with losing Aunt May, all realizing that their aunt, Peter's aunt, and Peter's uncle were the impetus for who they were as a human being. Beyond their powers, beyond the costume, beyond the spider that bit them, they all became who they were because of the influence of their aunt and uncles in their lives. With the power and responsibility speech, which is a staple across the multiverse. That's just awesome. That's just kind of cool. And one of the things that is great and frustrating with Spider-Man is that anytime he wins, he also has to lose. A friend of mine really did not like this film when it came out. And I don't know if her opinion changed at all, but she's not a Spider-Man reader, and she sees all the Spider-Man films. But the idea is that the Tobey ones and the Amazing Spider-Man films, they weren't connected to a greater universe or greater multiverse. These are. And yeah, outside powers dictate where these stories start moving. And it's just fun that they brought these other guys in and made it work. I don't know if any of you got to see it on the opening day. I literally had not seen my family in 2 years due to the pandemic, and I got on a plane, and I already had a ticket picked out, a seat picked out at a theater across the country, so that I could see it the afternoon that I landed. I was flying in the day that it premiered. Wasn't planned, but I was like, okay. So I haven't seen my mom or any of my family for 2 years physically because I didn't travel during the pandemic. I'm like, I gotta go to the movies. Could you drop me off? Yeah. But yeah, so I saw it then, and I saw it at least 3 other times with 3 different friend groups and family. It's kind of crazy how many times I've seen this now. And I've seen it. I went to see it again when they had a special screen, and they did the bonus stuff. By the way, there is a bonus version. This is not the bonus version that has extra scenes. There's a Monster Mash scene where the gang the Scoobies are putting together things in the dungeon. There's a bunch of interviews with Betty Brant. There's some conversation between the Spider-Men about where webs come from, at least for Toby's webs. So yeah, there's a whole lot of extra stuff. But yeah, you don't need those. They're fun, but you don't need those necessarily. This on Disney Plus is all you need to really get the point across. And there's so many little things that tease other things to come for each of the characters, even the supporting characters. And of course, the fallout of this, even though it may be taking of the Brand New Day movie, even though it may take place maybe months later, I don't know how long in the future, but it's wintertime, it's Christmas time when at the end of this film. So by the time we see Spider-Man, Peter, I think it's at least spring, summertime, at least the scenes we see in the Brand New Day trailer. And those of you who know what Brand New Day is all about, no, it's not going to be exactly the same. Don't expect the story to be exactly the same, because that if they do anything and a certain character does show up, it'll be the reverse of what happened in the comic. Sort of. Yeah, at least for certain people. That's just my guess. I have no use, and I have no inside track on this. I don't know anything, but there's a hint of a certain character that's in the Marvel Universe now, the MCU, that appeared on Disney Plus last year. And if Brand New Day links to what I think it might link to, there's going to be some tough choices to make for Pete. One of the great things about this, though, is the fact that we have so many villains in this. We get to see them as people who Peter doesn't just want to fight as Spider-Man. It's one of the frustrating things about him is that he wants to see the best in everybody. He does want to help people because of the influence of his aunt. It's very much because of the influence of his aunt, because when pushed to it, he's capable of harming people if he really feels he's given a choice. Not that he desires it or lusts for it, he just has the opportunity. If he has the opportunity, he can do it. And he's given that opportunity. And let's just say uh, we get to see Alfred Molina as Doc Ock again, who's just always good. It's just always good. We get Sandman and the Lizard, who are played, at least voiced by their respective actors, but are just digital creatures. Like, there was not a day that Thomas Hayden Church stepped onto set for the entire thing. He was the Sandman digital character. Much of it was copied over from Spider-Man 3. So much of that digital stuff was copied over and enhanced, I believe. We get Electro, and Jamie Foxx doesn't have to wear a wacky wig or bad teeth. He gets to be Jamie Foxx with electric powers. Yeah, and then we get... what's fantastic is that one of the biggest complaints I had with the original Spider-Man was that Green Goblin... We were at an early stage where people really didn't know what to do with Spider-Man villains, with superheroes and supervillains. Do they lean hard into the comic book style? Do they try to put everybody in black outfits and make them look cool like the X-Men, black leather outfits? Or do they try to, I don't know, mash up the character into something else? And what Green Goblin looked like was a ridiculous Power Ranger. When you have a goblin face in William Dafoe, sorry, William, but we want to see your face when you play the Green Goblin. When you cackle and laugh, it's fantastic. And he plays victim, and he plays maniac so beautifully. And in this, he, even more so than he was dropping bombs on balconies and doing crazy stuff to Aunt May in that first film, saying really kind of gothic weird stuff. He was never as scary as he was in this film. He's and it's not even just his actions, it's his words. He bugs Peter. He pushes Peter to attack him and to kill him, try to at least, because he told Peter it's all his fault, and something that Peter already believes, that it's all his fault, that he lost the woman he loves most in the world. Yes, more than MJ, in a different way, but it's a mother that raised him, even though she wasn't his mother. It's heartbreaking, but it was necessary, because by the end, everybody forgets who Peter Parker is. It's that sacrifice. My friend, who did not like this Spider-Man film, was angry because he can't win. It's like, why can't this have a happy ending? Because that's not Spider-Man. Even when he wins, it has to come at a cost. It has to be a sacrifice. I want to make sure this doesn't time out on me. So he can't. There's not a situation where he fully gets a win. Maybe Tom Holland's final movie, maybe he will. I don't know. But odds are, even if Tom Holland someday does a final Spider-Man movie, it still might not be a final Spider-Man movie, because look at this. We got Tobey and we got Andrew. For me, it's a culmination of so much of what is being done right in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, even though it's the Sony branch of things. It is fully the MCU. It's Peter Parker, Spider-Man, whether it's 1 or 2 or 3. It's why it's so endearing to so many people. He doesn't necessarily deal with... Sure, he deals with metaphysical, multiversal kind of craziness. He's been to other planets fighting Thanos. He's done all this other stuff. But he's still a kid. He's still a young man. He's still just a normal guy who's trying to do the right thing. And he's in over his head way too often. And the fun thing is seeing these three contrast. Tom has to play younger, has to play more innocent, more well-meaning. Tobey is more... He's a veteran Spider-Man. He's been around. He's kind of got his chill now. He's you can see after all the craziness of Spider-Man 3 that he's he's learned to calm himself, especially after being infected by a symbiote. Speaking of which, there is a reference now that there is a symbiote in the MCU for real, and Venom doesn't count. Yes, Venom is in the mid-credit sequence. That's where we get the symbiote. We get a little blip, little goo blop of symbiote on a beach in Mexico somewhere at a bar. So yeah, we might be seeing that blob of symbiote somewhere again in the future. Venom, it was understood that he was trying to figure out why in his mid-credit sequence what is going on in the MCU. He's like, oh, there's a guy who has an iron suit, and there's a green guy who gets angry, and the bartender's trying to explain all this stuff to him, and he's always got this, Tom Hardy always has this twitchy kind of thing when he plays Eddie Brock, versus a very growly Venom in his head that only he can hear. And they're always butting heads and yelling at each other. But the whole point of the spell that brought people to the 616 corner of the multiverse is that they were all people who knew Spider-Man before in whatever reality, and that they brought all those people into, erase everybody else's memory, but leave the people who know who Spider-Man is. But from what we know, Eddie Brock has never known who Spider-Man is. At least not the one that we see on screen, and not the one there's not been one in Tom Holland's MCU Peter Parker. So when he suddenly disappears from the bar after Strange's spell takes effect and takes everybody back home to their respective universes, what happens? You can also ask the question, what happens to all the bad guys they saved who go back to the moment in which, they're still going back to the moment at which they were battling Spider-Man, and then die? They just die with no powers. I don't know. I don't know what actually, maybe they changed those realities as a result. Maybe we'll see those villains right alongside all the heroes we're expecting to see in the MCU in Doomsday and Secret Wars. It's gonna get crazy. So yeah, as much as I can't wait for Doom, and I can't wait for just it all coming together in those next two Avengers films. And I love multiverse stories. I love time travel movies and all this kind of stuff. But I really hope the Russo brothers have found a way, and they've been doing great so far. I hope they find a way to make this not just a really convoluted story with 20 main characters and 5,000 background characters. We're like, oh, well, there's Toby and Andrew Spider-Man, and they just sort of walk through the shot as they go fight Doom with 5,000 other characters, variations of other characters. Wolverine with one arm, Gwenpool, just like 50,000 different Deadpools. Yes, we also, there's another multiverse story where, while the multiverse is a central core of central tool of the storytelling, it played with it. It had fun with it. The deeper we get into worlds colliding, incursions, and things like that with Doomsday or Secret Wars or Battle World, it's going to get really crazy. Hopefully we're not going to be in the situation like we were above the Statue of Liberty in this film, where the sky is cracking open, there's different silhouettes of Spider-Man villains about to step through before they can close it. And that's why Peter had to sacrifice his identity to have everybody forget who he is. there's like, that's Kraven. Oh wait, that looks like the lizard a different lizard over there, and there's who knows how many others that we were about to see. But yeah, it has an opportunity to be really convoluted, but I will love every freaking second of it. I know I will, because Doom is Doom is my favorite villain. Period. And to mix him as an alternate reality version of Tony Stark, which is assumed, can't say that's the way it is, but it's assumed, it's Robert Downey Jr. So I could talk about this forever, obviously. So if you've watched all or some of my rambling and you just skip to the end to see what the next episode is, if you got questions, you could put them in the comments and I'll answer about this. I'm not going to bother with things where people just decide to crap on things just for the sake of crapping on them. But if you have genuine questions, I'm happy to discuss nicely about those things. If you need to say, "Oh, I just hate that one movie with that person," you're not adding anything to the conversation. It just doesn't matter. Again, what I say, if my opinion on certain things really doesn't matter, it's just me because I'm doing this because I want to. So, I highly recommend you watch these films leading up to Brand New Day in July, the end of July, right after Comic-Con. We might have a preview screening at Comic-Con. You never know. But that's neither here nor there. So I'd say if at the very least watch Civil War, which is his first appearance, and watch each of the three Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. But if you really want to dig into it, watch all 8 leading up to Brand New Day. So, and there's a little bit of a hint. I also, when it comes to the multiverse, I would suggest also watching, well, Deadpool and Wolverine, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and if my instincts are correct, Ironheart. All right, I could talk forever on this. There's so many little things I want to pick out, so many little things. If I could remember them, and I know I should probably keep notes, but I like this off-the-cuff stuff either way. So, we have another movie tomorrow. Number 5 was picked on the list, and it is just about the opposite of this kind of movie. It is a Lifetime Network movie, LNM. That's what they abbreviate them as. Lifetime Network movie. And it's called A Roommate to Die For. Yeah. Is there a woman in danger of a very unstable man? Probably. From the looks of what I saw. Yeah, it's probably that. So, yeah, that's what we're watching tomorrow. A Roommate to Die For, the next Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.